Hello and welcome to the Outer East Football Netball Show, brought to you by Gameface. I'm Aidan Miller, and once again alongside me in the studio, Steph Barkers. Good afternoon, Steph.
Good afternoon, Aidan. Another exciting week. They're all going to be exciting weeks
Most
from now
certainly.
on in.
Finals are coming up once again in the Outer East. We've already had our junior grand finals, we've got our women's grand finals this week. Division 1 finals are starting, and just one more round of the home and away season for Premier Division.
Coming up in this episode, we have Around the Grounds.
We do have our match of the round previews once again this week, Ferny Creek versus Wandin.
We are also going to preview the two women's football grand finals that will be played this Sunday.
An interview with Belgrave's Liam Pemberton and also the head of AFL Victoria, Greg Madigan.
Our special guest in studio this week is Maddy George. Maddy is, of course, the captain of the 23 and under North East Blaze squad in the VNL. She's also the captain of the Wandin A-grade side and is coaching at Wandin, so plenty to chat to her about.
We'll take a look at the Premier Division ladders and explain how this weekend's results will have big impacts on the final series and also next season.
And, of course, bracketology is back. This time we take you through our predictions for Division 1 football and netball from this weekend all the way through to the grand final.
First up in Around the Grounds, the junior football season has officially wrapped up. Congratulations to all our 2024 premiers and enjoy the off-season.
We have a huge weekend of footy and netball tomorrow and Sunday. Finals deciders within Premier Division this weekend. Division 1 footy and netball qualifiers and eliminations, and junior netball finals start as well. And, of course, our two women's football finals, which we already mentioned.
Yep. Don't forget to enter our Karsha Father's Day competition. Simply comment on the competition video for your chance to win a pressure washer and the new Eco Booster accessory for your dad or the father figure in your life.
The last piece of news that we wanted to highlight this week is that last week our Outer East Football Netball umpires engaged in a mental health workshop thanks to our partners at Outside the Locker Room. We know it's so important to look after your mental health, especially at this busy time of year. So don't forget, funding is available to all our clubs to encourage your participation in these sessions. Please reach out to Maddy if you'd like more information or if you'd like to book a session at your club. All right, well, let's jump into our match of the round for this weekend. It is the last round of Premier Division, of course, and our matchup is Ferny Creek versus Wandin.
First up in the footy, Wandin are currently third on the ladder. They, with a 14-3 record. Ferny Creek are currently fifth with a 9-8 record. The two sides played back in round 9. Wandin won that game by 12 points. The scores there were 12-12-84 Wandin to Ferny Creek's 10-12-72. Interesting matchup, I reckon you're going to see first up. Matty Scharenberg, I reckon, will play in defence, and I reckon he will line up on Clint Johnson, who's always a big target to stop there for Wandin. And I reckon in the middle, you're probably going to see a big battle between the skipper, Paddy Brazizia of Wandin, and also Peter Lucas of Ferny Creek. Heading across to the netball, Wandin are currently third on the ladder with a 13-4 record, whilst Ferny Creek are currently 11th with a 2-15 record. The two sides also played round 9 like the footy. Wandin won that game 62-34. Some of the head-to-heads, I reckon you'll see Brittany Tate go head-to-head with Ella Grigg in the centre, and I reckon Madison Wollaston has a very big matchup on Amalia Blake with nearly 700 goals for the season.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one, won't it?
Most certainly.
All right, well, we have to do it. It's going to be super exciting. This Sunday we have our two women's grand finals. Let's go through Division 1 first. So we have Pakenham versus Hillsville. They did finish 1 and 2, and they have also already played each other in this final series. What do you think is going to happen? Yeah,
look, it's a real tricky one. I do have a lot of confidence in Pakenham, and I think they're going to be... Look, I think both sides will be quite hungry from the disappointments of last year. Pakenham going down to that grand final. Hillsville had an undefeated season last year and went down in that semi-final. So both sides have really got a lot to play for in terms of a redemption arc. But I do think Pakenham probably get the win, in my opinion.
I'm on the opposite side of the fence as you.
Yep.
I think Hillsville are going to be there with the upset. They obviously had a close miss in the first week of the finals, but I think they can do it. I think they're hungry enough, and yeah, I just think they'll get the job done. So we'll see. We'll be there on Sunday.
Most certainly we will be here at Kilsyth Recreation Reserve. It should be a cracking day.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, let's go to Div 2. We've got Monbulk versus Woori. These sides also finished 1 and 2.
Yes.
So another very interesting matchup. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Of course, Monbulk top, and they won that first final pretty close. I've really liked Woori Alec this season, though, and I think they've done really, really well for a first-year side. They've recruited plenty of good players, and I think they might just sneak in the upset. I've had confidence in them all year, and I'm gonna back them in.
It's really interesting because I did actually put out a poll on Instagram yesterday, and that game in particular has been going back and forth, very minor percentages with it switching. It's pretty much been 50-50, 49%, 51%, then switching. So I don't even think our community's sure which way that one's going to go.
Well, exactly what you want in a grand final. You don't want to know what's going to happen until the final siren goes.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see you all there on Sunday. We're so excited and can't wait. Well, we have so many special guests this week. I'm so excited for this episode. But first and foremost, Aiden had a chat to Liam Pemberton, the Belgrave Seniors captain, after their win over Yea on the weekend, where they cemented their finals run.
Well, we have Liam Pemberton with us, Belgrave's captain, after a really important win to end the home and away season for 2024 Pembers finals for the first time since 2017. Yeah. How good is that?
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable. This team, it's super, and the feeling after tonight is just absolutely special right now. So
fantastic, mate. You've been injured for at least the last couple of weeks. So how's it been sitting on the sidelines, having to watch the boys, knowing that it's been a tense couple of weeks?
I've had to shut my mouth a couple of times. I'm a bad watcher. It's something I haven't been able to manage, but just being able to get out there with the boys and, be a part of such a special day, it was unbelievable, and very grateful, and it's a really special team. I can't wait to see where we can go from now.
Yep. Yea been a really good side for most of the season, mate, and what were some of the plans coming into today's game to try and get this win?
Yeah, I think we knew playing on our ground, it's a little bit smaller. They really got us on the outside last time, so we really try to emphasise the fact that we've got a smaller ground and we can really attack through and, kind of constrict them as well. So I think we're able to do that really, really well. They weren't able to get on the outside a lot. And some of the players, especially in the midfield, having big court back, and a couple of the other boys just attacked the ball very, very hard, and they were able to kind of get us going in the midfield, which was fantastic to see.
Yep. Taking on Alexandra next week in an elimination final, mate. I think you played them a couple of times throughout the season. Do you know much about their game and how you're going to try and go into next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, they're a big mob. What they've got compared to us, we got the youth, and they're a couple of older boys, and they're big bodies as well. So they smashed us at their ground earlier in the year, and this time, last time, a few weeks back, we were able to go really hard and match their pressure. So I think coming in against those boys, it will just be trying to match their pressure again, and just be that hard, ferocious team that we've proven to be. So.
How are the boys feeling coming into finals, mate? I know it's a big moment for the club. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure.
Mate, it's special. Like a few of these boys, we've been sticking fat for 3-4 years now, and a few tears were shed there. We've been through a lot. 100 plus point defeats multiple times in a row, and it can really get to you. But being able to kind of be a part of this club, it's special. It's something that no one leaves. It's when you're here, you kind of want to stay around, and very fortunate to find myself, and a lot of these boys find ourselves being at such a great club.
Yep, and being the skipper of the club, I'm sure, leading the way, and just doing it for all the spectators, well, all the past members must be a great feeling.
Look, I've got the leadership role, but there's 22 leaders out in the field when we come out. It stems into the resis and all the people around. We've got such a special bond at the moment, and just so grateful to be a part of it. It's special.
Pembers, thank you so much for joining us, mate, and good luck for the final series.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
Another interview that we had on Saturday was with the AFL Victoria boss, Greg Madigan. Steph had a bit of a chat with him. It was a really big day, of course, there at Belgrave, with plenty of ramifications for Yea's season. And Steph just wanted to chat all things AFL Vic.
All right, well, I'm here today at Match of the Round, Belgrave versus Yea, with Greg Madigan, very special guest, head of AFL Victoria. Thanks so much for coming out today.
It's great day to be out here.
Absolutely, it's an exciting match happening behind us right now. But I guess one question I wanted to ask you around your role at AFL Victoria is, why did you want to get involved after your playing days, I guess, and getting back to that community angle and getting involved with grassroots again?
Yeah, well, it's exactly that. I think, the involvement at this level's, it's about community. It's great getting out with the people. There's still a lot of passion, but I think, around community football in general, It's such a much better feeling. It's less about the winning and losing. It's a lot about the community clubs, and we're inside earlier seeing all the names and history on the wall, and that sort of stuff gets lost a little bit at the top end. But it's really prevalent and great to see at community football.
For sure. And I mean, you can see around here all the people who are here today, and a lot of these people would be volunteers. And how important do you think it is for our clubs to have that?
Yeah, absolutely. But, they're all part of the community. They want to put in and make their community strong. So it's really important that we look after them, recognise them. They do a terrific job, and you can see them walking around here and picking bins up and moving things around so the game all goes on. It's terrific.
And you had quite the success with the Hawks yourself back in 89, was that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Your 6th ever game. What's that feeling like?
Yeah, well, that was amazing. But it was amazing for me, and I barracked for Hawthorn as a kid, so it was super special. But you get that feeling, I think, wherever you are, and you see the passion that plays out here, and guys that have come back to the club that, if you win a premiership, it's with you, and your friendship with those players stays with you forever. And I'm sure these guys will have it out here, should they be lucky enough to play in one.
Hopefully. And I guess we should mention the Hawks this season as well. Really started off definitely underdogs. I don't think a lot of people kind of expected much, and they've really turned their season around. So
yeah.
Must be nice for you to see that.
That's great. Yeah, loving it. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks. We've got Richmond tomorrow, and I'm going to that game. So Amazing. That'll be interesting. They hopefully get over them, and then North Melbourne, and then play finals, we hope.
Yeah, we hope. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Hope you enjoy the match. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
As we mentioned at the start of our show, the in-studio guest this week is Maddy George from North East Blaze and Wandin. Let's have a look at her chat with Aidan.
Maddy, thank you for joining us in the studio today. We really appreciate having you in. Of course, you're Wandin's A-grade captain. You're also the North East Blaze under-23 captain. Steph didn't write it down, but you're also selected in my fantasy side as well, which I thought was very important. But the first question we wanted to ask was, you've just finished the season with North East Blaze in the under-23 squad. And while you didn't win the grand final, still a massive achievement to make it there. How did you see the season overall?
I think it's been my favourite season so far. It was really, really enjoyable. I think that I've come from always being the youngest player in the VNL side. So to have this new 23s competition and then being one of the older ones and then getting to lead as well, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we fell short in the grand final, but to get there after the amount of injuries that we had was, super impressive.
Yep. Having that experience at VNL level, when you're playing or coaching at Wandin, what learnings from that level do you try to implement when you're back at OFN?
I think coaching has really helped my game. Just being able to know the game plan inside and out has really helped me play. But then taking everything that I learned from Kate and Ella at Blaze straight to Wandin, and we implement the exact same game plan.
What made you want to take on the coaching role at Wandin?
It did help that my best friend is the other coach, so that did help. But I think it was more another step for me outside being a player, but I also knew that it would help me as a player. So it was just sort of the next step. Yep.
Can you tell us a bit about some of your mentors and how they've impacted your career so far?
Obviously, Ella and Kate are massive mentors. Not only, I guess, for me as a player, but as a person. I think they're incredible role models to have. So they've had, a massive impact on me as a player and person. And then I think the older girls that I've gotten to play with through the VNL.
Yep.
So, Ruby, and then last year, a few years ago now, Bron and Sam.
Yep.
Sam Coppinger. Really great to play just with the older girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is your ultimate goal when it comes to netball? Is it to continue with the Blaze and eventually make it to the championship team?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the goal. Like, I'm pretty happy where I am at the moment. So just, I guess, playing the best I can. If that, ends up in champ, then that would be great. That is the goal.
Yep. When we look to the weekend, Wandin are with a shot to make the top two and have the double chance. If they win this weekend and a few other results go your way, how are you feeling heading into the weekend?
I'm pretty confident. I think that we're really peaking at the right end of the season. It's been a pretty up and down season for us with players missing and things like that. But feeling pretty confident that we can do that.
Yep. We'll go back through the last couple of years because I think 2022 you finished 5th on the ladder, but you're still able to go all the way to the prelim regardless.
Yep.
And then even last year from 3rd, you were able to kind of go the shortcut, I guess you could call it, winning the first 2 weeks. So even without the double chance, does that give you and the girls confidence that you might not necessarily need that double chance?
Yeah, I think looking from previous seasons, we have finished, probably lower than we expected or would hope for. But I think, again, again, that's because of the players that we had missing. And when we hit finals, we usually have a full team. So yeah, it does give us confidence if we can finish in the top 2.
Yep. How do you prepare for finals? Is it any different with your regular preparation, or do you try to keep things as normal as possible and stick to the routine?
I'm pretty easygoing, so I just
Yep.
do the same thing as
Fair
always. I think being around the girls before the game is really important to me.
Yep. I think that's pretty much everything there is to talk about. Maddie, thank you so much for joining us in the studio, and good luck for the final series coming up.
Thanks so much.
So we're obviously heading into a massive weekend this weekend, and then Premier Division finals start next week. But before we get there, before we know what the matchups are, there are so many deciders this weekend, both at the top of the ladders and for Premier Division footy at the bottom as well, in regards to relegation to Division 1 in 2025. So we thought we'd have a chat about it.
Yep.
Let's start with the footy first and foremost.
Well, from a footy perspective this weekend, very interesting. The top 6 teams who will be playing finals are locked in. There is still a chance for Wandin to finish second and get the double chance should they beat Lindeferney Creek and Wirialek lose to Pakenham. In regards to potential relegation from Premier Division to Division 1 for 2025, we obviously removed Berwick Springs from the equation given they will be at the SFNL next year. Depending on whether Emerald, Jimbrel Cockatoo and Pakenham win or lose, there are at least 4 different scenarios that are possible when determining which of these 3 teams could be relegated in season 2025. So the matchups this week for those sides are Emerald will take on Berwick Springs, that'll be at Chandler Reserve. Upway Tacoma will take on Jimbrel Cockatoo at the Superdome, and Pakenham will take on Wirialek at Tumac Reserve.
So pending on those decisions, we could see some changes in the top 6, even though they are locked in, which will obviously affect the Week 1 finals matchups. And then there's a chance that either of those 3 sides could also be relegated. So it'll be super interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a tough one to call. We'll just have to wait for the results, I think, because really anything could happen in any of those matches.
Well, exactly right. Even Lindeferney Creek could still drop to 6. Mount Evelyn could potentially jump into 5th, should Linda lose and Mount Evelyn win, and that obviously change up the matchups in those first 2 weeks of finals, those 2 elimination finals. So there really is a lot to play out still.
Absolutely. Well, from a netball perspective, it's quite a similar story, to be honest. The top 6 sides are locked, but there's still a chance for 2 sides, Wandin or Pakenham Lions, to end up in the top 2 with the double chance pending this weekend's result. So, you know, it depends who wins, who loses. There could be quite a bit of movement there. But the matches for this weekend that will determine the final positions on the ladder is Narre Warren, Mount Evelyn, Lindeferney Creek, Wandin, and Pakenham Lions, Wirialek.
Yep.
All those sides are obviously very strong. I don't know if I can make a call. I feel like maybe, you know, Mount Evelyn's definitely a chance for an upset over Narre Warren.
Well, Mount Evelyn
even
really,
though they are on the top.
They have the wood on Narre Warren. They've beaten them 3 of the last 4 times they've played them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the one they didn't win was the preliminary final last year, but historically, Mount Evelyn have done quite well in that game. But as you mentioned, Wandin need Mount Evelyn to lose that game if they want to get the double chance.
Exactly, yeah. And then obviously Pakenham Lions as well are a chance there with the match against Wirialek. So much to play out this weekend. It's going to be so exciting. Last but not least, as we mentioned, we have another bracketology segment, obviously looking at Division 1 finals, which start this week. We're going to take you through our predictions from the first games this weekend all the way through to who we think will be premiers. Let's start with the footy.
Well, I'm going to start off with this in the footy. I reckon in the first week, Hillsville taking on Warburton Millgrove in the qualifying final. I reckon Hillsville are going to win that. They'll take on Seville, I reckon, in the second semi-final. I think Belgrave will win the elimination final against Alexandra and will take on Warby in the first semi-final. Of course, the second semi also being qualifying, the first semi being elimination. So then in that second week, I reckon Seville are going to go straight through to the grand final, defeat Hillsville. I think Warby will take care of Belgrave, and then that means Hillsville and Warby will once again meet in the preliminary final, which I think Hillsville will also take the win in that game. And then I once again think Seville will take the win over Hillsville in the grand final and be the premiers in Division 1.
We're sort of on the same wavelength. I'm a little bit different with my matches in the
okay.
middle, but I ultimately do have Seville as premiers as well. So I have Seville going through from the second week straight through to the grand final. Warby and Hillsville playing off in the prelim, and then Seville versus Hillsville with Seville as premiers.
Division 1 netball. First up, the qualifying final is going to be played between Seville and Yarra Glen. The elimination final will be between Hillsville and Alexandra. Steph, how are you looking in that first week and then progressing?
Well, first up, the elimination. I'm going to say that unfortunately Hillsville will be out with Alex advancing. I also think Seville will win the qualifying final. Then we'll see Warby versus Seville, which should be super interesting. Those guys have had some close matchups. Plus, I think we'll see that exact matchup later in the grand final as well. We'll have Yarra Glen versus Alex, which Yarra Glen I think will advance. And then my prediction is Seville versus Yarra Glen. So then your grand finals, Warburton and Belgrave versus Seville. And I think in that one, Warby will get the job done and they will be premiers for 2024.
There we go. Well, I think I've got a pretty similar wavelength. Seville and Yarra Glen in that qualifying final. I think Seville are going to win that. Progress through to play at Warby in the second semi-final. I think Hillsville and Alex, I reckon Alex, they did win the matchup earlier this year against Hillsville, so I think they actually are going to win that, and they'll go through to the second week against Yarra Glen in the first semi. From there, I think Seville are actually going to win that second semi and go all the way through to the grand final. I think Yarra Glen will defeat Alex and then meet up against Warby in the prelim. That'll be, of course, a grand final rematch from last year in Division 2. I think Warby will then defeat Yarra Glen in the prelim, and then they'll get their revenge and win the grand final over Seville and be the premiers for Division 1 netball.
Interesting. Well, we will see if any of our predictions come true. Hopefully to give us some credit, Aidan, at least a couple of them.
Yes, my credibility is very important to me, Steph, so hopefully it's not too dinted by the end of the finals.
Lovely.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all there is to talk about in the Outer East this week. Remember, if there's anything you'd like to see in the show, please leave a comment down below. Steph, thank you again for joining me in the studio.
No worries at all.
For all the viewers out there, don't forget to get your game face on.